Where's the place you go when you want to be free? For us, it's the mountains, and there's a tough trail that leads to an incredible mountain ghost town that we wanted to share with our friends. But what we found out is not everyone agrees on whether the juice is worth the squeeze, and the squeeze on this trip was enough to make some of us squirm. So buckle up and lean in to watch whether or not we make it to the top of Boulder Basin, Idaho. What do you guys think? Do you think our Jeeps will make it?
Yes, your Jeeps are going to make it.
Mom,
He didn't seem so sure.
They don't have the suspension that the other ones had.
That's true.
Brought to you by Wheeled Life, off-road inspired clothing for the people in your life that like to get out. Boulder Basin is a special trail for us. It was my very first off-road experience in my Jeep with Chris, and we were both such noobs back then. We ultimately wound up turning back, and a year later we came back and went all the way up, in the dark. But Chris and I both felt like we had unfinished business there, and our buddies wanted to see it for themselves. So how tough is this trail that we were headed to? It was tough enough to make my buddy Lance take an axle grinder to his beautiful Tundra and ultimately buy an entirely new rig. But you need to watch to the end to see that whole story. Our crew consisted of Chris and Elsha, Ryan and Sakina, Nick and his dad Mac, and Lance. Emerson, come on. Get in the car, please. And there's nothing else to do in here. I like the way Lydia responds to my suggestions. Yes, sir. How about you try that? Boulder Basin is about 3.5 hours from Boise, and we decided to drive up Trail Creek Road towards Copper Basin to spend the first night. We hit the mountains just as the sun was setting and caught some glimpses of what we'd see the next day on the trail. But for tonight, we just wanted a place to camp. So we made it to camp. It's late. We left really late, and we stopped a couple times, and gosh, I think it was like 9 o'clock or so, maybe a little bit after 9 when we got to camp. So we just got here and had dinner as fast as we could. Before we left, I grabbed some like frozen burger patties, chicken and vegetarian, and I grabbed everything but beef because I wasn't really looking, because we're in a hurry getting out the door. And but it turns out when you're out here in the woods, even a frozen chicken patty tastes pretty good. So we are now going to set up camp. Now that I've got the kids fed and everyone's fed, we are going to set up the tent and call it a night. We're in fire restrictions right now, so we're not going to do a fire tonight, I believe. We're in stage 1, which means it has to be in a designated fire ring. And there is a big fire ring here, but I don't think it's quite designated. So we're going to set up the beds. We got a big day tomorrow. So Chris, we've done Boulder Basin twice, the whole thing once.
Yep.
And it was some Jeeps, an LR3, and a Taco, all with lifts and tires.
Uh-huh.
We're doing it tomorrow with 2 Jeeps, a 4Runner, a Tundra, and a stock Jeep. What do you think about that?
You know, I think it's going to be just fine. So the Tundra is going to be interesting with like its width. And there's a couple of spots where you have kind of a little bit of a drop off, and so it's going to be interesting to see how, you know, some of the vehicles with smaller tires do on their approach and departure angles. But I think they're going to be okay. I think we're just going to take it easy, make sure we pick our lines very carefully, and I think they'll all be okay.
Taking the Tundra up Boulder Basin tomorrow, how do you feel about taking your rig on some, I would say some medium trails? I would say medium to hard, medium to extreme, right? Medium to hard.
I would say medium to severe.
Medium to severe. So
I think you guys are messing with me.
Medium
so
to.
I'm assuming I'm not going to.
Medium to parachute. No, seriously. Like, how do you feel about taking the Tundra up the trail tomorrow?
I'm apprehensive. I don't think I should be doing it, but I'm going to do it anyway. I told my wife last year I wasn't going up Boulder Basin. And I told her this year I wasn't going up Boulder Basin. And then I called her and said, she knew I was going up, but I called her on the way here. And I'm like, not feeling good about this. There may be damage, and I'm not responsible.
How can you not be responsible for it?
Because she was like, go.
Oh, it's her fault.
Just go. Well, it's not her fault. It's just, do you take the risk?
Yeah.
Right? And you got to have fun.
I think it's going to be a lot of fun.
And I think we should also note that you've also been eyeing the Bronco Raptor. So is this the the means to an end.
I couldn't even get up there. I need a new rig.
Exactly. Oh, I didn't make it up, honey. Time to get a Bronco Raptor.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have to say, we saw the Bronco Raptor at Overland Expo. I sent you a picture, and it is sweet.
It's amazing, right?
It is sweet. Yeah, they did a nice job.
Yeah. Cheers, brah.
Brah.
And get ready for tomorrow. The next morning was beautiful, not in a blue sky and sunny kind of way, more in a we are in the mountains and close to the clouds kind of a way, which seemed fitting for what the day would bring. Good morning. It is a beautiful and wet morning here. We had rain overnight, which was a little surprising. We thought there were some thunderstorms in the forecast. No thunder, definitely got rain. When we went to bed at like midnight, it was a clear sky, so I was surprised to have rain, but that should just make today all that more interesting when we hit the more technical trail. It gives us just a clean, fresh feeling to the forest right now, and the forest floor just soaked it up. There's no mud or anything anywhere. It's just a beautiful kind of refreshing morning. We're just getting up and having breakfast. We want to hit the trail relatively early today. So I'm going to have some coffee. I'm going to give the kids some oatmeal. We're going to hit the trail. So Ryan, walk me through your trailer. This is a jumping jack trailer?
This is a jumping jack, the 4x6, the blackout edition, which has a little bit bigger tires, basically. So it has a zipper opening. There's a double bed on one side, a single bed on the other, and the double bed's a little longer and the dog sleeps at the foot. Then we have a kid's cot we pop up in the middle, and the youngest sleeps there. What's really nice though is it does have a table that comes down.
Oh, so you can have like dinner.
Yeah, you can have dinner or play cards and whatever like that. So
yeah.
Yep.
This just kind of pops down into the trailer.
Yeah, basically, and then it all folds in, and then the sides fold on top, and then you can stack stuff on top.
What book is it?
What does it say?
Pop on top? I love that book. Well, we're all packed up. I think everybody else is just finishing up, so let's go hit the trail. We had camped off Trail Creek Road a few miles and needed to backtrack a bit to get back to the main road, which was just as beautiful driving down as it was coming up the night before, except this morning we had clouds in the sky to keep the mountains company. I was in the lead of the convoy for now, but I had agreed to bring up the rear once we hit the actual trail. With a quick pass through Ketchum, Idaho, and a nod to the Sun Valley ski hill, we beelined for Boulder and started airing down. And I did one last check-in with everyone before starting out. So Elsha's gonna be driving my rig a lot on this trail, so thanks, Elsha.
Just remember, I am not to be held legally or financially responsible for anything that happens. Shale road, on or off. Hopefully not off.
You have to have.
Stay on the road.
You mean to my rig? Yeah, I'm absolutely holding you responsible for everything. Yeah. I'll send you a bill in the mail. You nervous about pinstripes on the 4Runner?
Hey man, don't do that to me on YouTube. Come on.
So Lance, you're totally confident that the Tundra's going to be just fine, no problems?
No.
Okay, we're all aired down and ready to go. We have no idea what to expect. The trail changes every single year depending on the washout conditions and how many people have been up there. So let's go find out. Boulder Basin is a trail that can make you go from a casual overlander to a serious off-roader. It'll test your rigs and your nerve and show you incredible beauty if you push just beyond being comfortable. But as Nick and Lance were about to discover, sometimes that's a hard push.
I wanna fly, can you take
So wait, so you guys have been up already with your side-by-sides and you didn't go all the way?
Right, yes.
What happened?
Too many little kids and the road is washed out.
Oh,
Pretty
because you have
bad.
little kids with you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't notice.
Look at the baby.
What do you guys think? Do you think our Jeeps will make it?
Yes, your Jeeps are
We'll
gonna
do
make it.
fine.
Mom?
Not
He doesn't seem so
They
sure.
don't have the suspension that the other ones had.
Oh.
That's true.
Yeah, he doesn't seem so sure over
The
there.
other ones were like, they had the... They
were satellite tires.
Yeah,
I told you guys.
you're right. I'm an optimist, though. I'm an optimist.
There's Tundra parked up there too. Just park it by.
See, there you go.
If you had added Duramax, it would have made it.
Exactly.
After meeting our family on ATVs, we came across the first big marker of the trip, the abandoned cabins. So here we are at the first of many abandoned cabins. And you know, when you see these things and the state of ill repair that they're in, it makes perfect sense because this place is like covered in snow most of the year. It's amazing that they built these places and made it through one season, let alone that these things are still standing. And see, it gets a little bit worse every year. The roof's caved in just a little bit more. But this is kind of the first milepost. We're gonna keep going. This is where the trail starts to get fun. The dirt roads become a bit rockier, and the creeks and streams shedding water from the winter snowpack give you lots of opportunities to clean your tires. Each year, this part of the trail is slightly different depending on how much water and how many rigs have run up and down the trail. This is also where Lance started becoming more trepidatious about the Tundra. After all, we just heard folks on Side by Side tell us we weren't gonna make it, and that at least one other Tundra had turned around already today. And while none of the rigs were having any issues at this point, I knew that one of the biggest mental hurdles of the trail was coming up, the Shale Road. So we're stopped here at what I call the Shale Road, and I call it the Shale Road because it's like shale rock and it's a ledge road, and it's the point in the trip when things start to get serious. So on the way up, it's like, okay, things get more serious from here on in. On the way down, it's like, okay, things are gonna get easier from here on out. So we just stopped for a second to take it in. It is just an incredibly beautiful view here. We're in this little canyon between these massive rocky peaks, and this road just threads the needle on this ledge. You know, it's a little intimidating to look at. It's pretty easy to drive as long as you don't, veer to the ledge too far. But I cannot wait to see what's beyond this road. This is a place where casual drivers turn around or get out and hike. You can feel the rocks moving under your tires, which can be unnerving when you look down and see a sea of jagged rocks waiting to catch you if you fall. The width of the Tundra was making Lance hug the mountain, and I was pulling up the rear just in case anyone needed a winch handy on this side of the trail. Nick was in the middle and Chris was up front, meaning he got first dibs on my favorite spot of the whole trail. This is the beginning of what becomes a very wet trail from here to the top. The rocks here start to get bigger and looser, and then you reach a spot with a very steep incline on what can feel like a gauntlet of very big rocks and boulders. This is where we stopped and asked everyone if they still wanted to continue. So we have a decision point to make. Should we continue to go or not? Some in the group are not super comfortable with continuing to going. I'm optimistic. I think we can stack some rocks in a few places, and there's some ways to get over some of those obstacles. But also, I don't want to push anybody to do anything they're not comfortable with. Especially, it's their money, it's their rig. So I don't know what we're gonna do. I think we're gonna keep talking about it, and hopefully we make it through without anybody's rig breaking. If that means turning around and going back down, that's okay too. So what was making everyone so nervous? Well, there was one obstacle with no bypass, and as the group was debating what to do next, a convoy of Jeeps made their way down the mountain and showed us how it's done. Say what you want about Jeeps, but the truth is, these rigs were out for a Sunday drive, and these obstacles were just a bump in the road. Yeah, two-door, man. Two-door's gonna do anything. After watching this group drive this stretch flawlessly, you'd think everyone would be more confident to go up, but that's not what happened. I think the group decided that they just didn't want to do it. So with the Tundra, which is wide and long, and the Forerunner, which is also long, I don't think people felt super comfortable. So we just decided to turn around. You can see Lance has just got done turning around behind me, and Nick and Chris are behind him. So we're gonna head back down the mountain, see what we find. It's always an adventure. While we were done rock landing for the day, we still had adventure left to pursue, so the group found something a little more palatable for the evening, the Sawtooth Mountain Range. With evening setting on, we found a cozy little spot tucked away near Sawmill Canyon and took stock of our new home for the night. I'll tell you what, I am beat. It has been a heck of a day. We went up and down a mountain looking for campsites. And this group, you know, the cool thing is that everybody gets along. We problem solve together. We found ways to find agreement. And so we found this site that Nick from Zagrunner had pin dropped on his Gaia GPS. And it's secluded, it's by a creek so the kids can go play in the water. I think the adults just want to like maybe put our feet in the water, have a cocktail, and just relax. Just feel the breeze, relax, have a great night. So I'm gonna get started on that right now. That tent is still very wet. We gotta get this thing up and air it out. I forgot that it rained last night, so I'm gonna air it out right now. Time for a cocktail. So Elsha, what are you making tonight for cocktails?
The first one is going to be the Golden Glow, which is the Golden Glow mine up in Boulder Basin outside of Ketchum, Idaho. And it's going to utilize our favorite Koenig honey bourbon, some ginger liqueur, some chamomile tea, and we're going to dress it up with some fresh lemon juice and rosemary.
Elsha wasn't the only one working tonight. Chris was making Korean barbecue chicken on the Otzi Flame grill, and it was looking good. It's so good, man. It just totally, this punches my ticket.
It's about having fun.
You know what? It's just
us. Lance, what's going on, dude? What happened to your Toyota?
So when I grease the upper control arms, I have to take the tension off the through bolt so that you can get grease through the bushings.
Yeah.
So I put it back on, but both sides like lost torque.
Oh.
And almost came all the way out. The through bolt is a 1/2 inch from touching the bearing.
Oh my gosh.
Plate.
Nick from Zagrunner is an expert at fixing Toyotas because he has a Toyota as well, and they often break down on the trail. So he's
No. A Jeep will get you there, a Toyota will get you home.
clearly that's what's happening right now.
They just didn't torque his UCA bolts. We're good.
I know. He just, you know.
This is why you carry a torque wrench and a full socket set.
Totally. Yeah, that's right. When you drive a Toyota, you just need to remember you might be doing some trail fixes.
Hey, you said earlier that you may have like blown up your Jeep or something driving too fast.
I don't know. I wasn't on camera, so it didn't exist.
Oh, really?
I may have done that. With the Toyotas fixed up, I took a second to reflect on what had happened today. You know, it just makes me think about how great tonight is, even though we turned back. Sometimes those decisions that you make where you think you failed or you didn't make it all the way up the trail turn out to be great nights anyway. Because the truth is, no trail makes a good adventure. You know, it's really like being out, being with friends, experiencing new things, seeing new things. Like, that's all what makes the adventure. Whether or not you make it to the top of the mountain, in some cases is irrelevant. I mean, I wish, and I'm disappointed, I wish we would have made it, and I am disappointed that we didn't make it. Truly, in my heart, I feel like I have unfinished business with this crew. But I'm not sure I would trade it. I mean, tonight's been wonderful. It's been fun to just get to know some new friends, sit around the camp, experimenting with Elsha's new cocktails. It's been a lot of fun. So I don't wish for any other ending but the one that we have. Kate couldn't make it on this trip, so I was a single dad, which meant I had to take a quick cup of coffee so I could get the kids breakfast. I like to make a fast breakfast on the last morning of a trip, so oatmeal and hot chocolate were on the menu this morning. And while I think they were wishing it was waffles and that I would have made it faster, the kiddos waited patiently and were grateful, mostly for the hot chocolate. Good morning. It is a beautiful morning here in the mountains of Idaho. We're about 7,000 feet. Everyone was really tired. We all slept in this morning, like really late, like later than I slept in since I can remember. And there are these massive mountains all around us. We can't see them from camp right now. We chose to be close to water instead of look for a view. But there are these mountains all around us. These big, huge, rocky mountains with trees on them. Some of them don't have trees. They're just like big rocks. It's so impressive. They're 10, 11,000 feet. It's a gem of the gem state. We're right on the foothills of the Sawtooth Mountains. We're right next to the White Cloud Wilderness. We're right next to the Pioneer Mountains. And this is just one of those spots where it just feels very majestic. Everything around you is so huge. It just has this kind of almost spiritual, but definitely majestic feeling to it. So no matter what we do, we're gonna be driving with the mountains looking down on us, and I cannot wait to get started. Chris, what do you have here in your hand?
Wild strawberries.
Pesticide free.
Yeah. That was kind of a nice little surprise right before we're leaving.
Little mini strawberries.
Mini strawberries, yeah. And it's funny because I've seen like the wild strawberry plants, but I've never actually seen strawberries on them, and they are tiny and they're delicious.
You're delicious. You're delicious. You're delicious. Pilot? No. As I was packing up camp, getting ready to head out earlier than everyone else, I felt a little bit lonely to be leaving the group, but I was also happy to go see Kate. We made our goodbyes, and I headed out to find my own way home by myself. Knowing my rig Finn has already been up one of the hardest trails around here doesn't mean I didn't want to do it again, but that would have to be for another adventure. To each their own rig, their own route, their own adventure. And in this case, their own regrets and remorse for not pushing it a little bit farther. In fact, one of the guys took it hard enough to make some drastic changes. So this story doesn't actually end right now. There are some important things you need to know. So Lance, why are you chopping this thing up?
Boulder Basin. Yeah, we met an obstacle that the Tundra could not pass, and it is stuck in my head.
I mean, I don't know, Lance. I think it'll buff out.
I got back home, looked at potentially getting a different vehicle, and decided that modifying the Tundra was the right way to go.
Except that it wasn't. A few months later, Lance traded in the Tundra for a very different rig. Like, when you look at this rig, how does it make you feel?
This thing literally makes me feel like this off-road portion of my life is complete now that I own this thing.
This trail turned one 4Runner around and turned one Tundra into a Bronco, but it left all of us wanting more. We 100% have unfinished business in these mountains. So, will we come back for a redemption run? Well, you're just gonna have to keep watching Venture to Rum to find out. But yes, the answer is yes, we're definitely coming back.